Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Earth Defense Station Vigilance, watching the stars through the massive viewport. The station hung in space like a metal moon, its weapons pointed toward the darkness between worlds. Jake had been stationed here for 3 years, and every day felt the same. The Empire's ships came and went as they pleased, treating Earth like their personal supply depot. Admiral Lisa Carter's voice crackled through the communication system from her office on the planet below. Her tone was sharp and urgent in a way that made Jake's stomach tighten. The Empire had been demanding more tribute lately, taking food and resources while Earth's people went hungry. The alien overlords called it protection, but Jake knew better. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency around their stations. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez monitored the sensor arrays while Commander Pete Harrison tracked incoming and outgoing traffic. These were good people, Jake thought, people who deserved better than living under alien rule. Earth had been part of the Galactic Empire for 70 years. Ever since the first contact wars ended with humanity's surrender, a priority message flashed across Jake's command screen. The sender was High Admiral Zexthara of the Empire's 4th Fleet, and Jake's blood ran cold as he read the contents. The alien commander announced that a full battle group would arrive in Earth's system within 3 days. Their mission was to establish a permanent military base on the moon's surface. Jake called Admiral Carter immediately. Her image appeared on the main screen, and he could see the worry lines around her eyes. She had been fighting the Empire's demands for years, using diplomacy and legal challenges to protect Earth's people. But this was different. This was an invasion disguised as military expansion. The message from Zexthara was clear and threatening. Compliance was not optional. Any resistance would be met with orbital bombardment. Jake had seen what Empire weapons could do to a planet. Cities turned to glass, oceans boiled away, entire continents cracked like broken pottery. The aliens had done it before to worlds that defied them. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, General Ryan Phillips walked through corridors that officially did not exist. The facility had been built in secret over 15 years, hidden from Empire censors and spies. Phillips had been planning for this day since he was a young officer, watching alien ships patrol Earth's skies like they owned them. Dr. Michelle Brooks waited in the main laboratory, her hands shaking with excitement and fear. The quantum shield generators were finally ready, tested and retested until every component was perfect. The new human warship sat in hidden construction bays, built using reverse-engineered alien technology that the Empire never suspected they possessed. Phillips had recruited the best and brightest from every nation on Earth: engineers, scientists, pilots, and soldiers who shared his vision of a free humanity. They had worked in darkness for years, knowing that discovery would mean death for them all. But they also knew that freedom was worth any risk. The secret project had consumed vast resources, hidden in civilian budgets and disguised as research programs. Every piece of alien technology that fell into human hands was studied, dissected, and improved upon. The Empire considered humans primitive, barely capable of maintaining their own technology. That arrogance would be their downfall. President Karen Walsh stood in her private office, staring at the reports from Admiral Carter and General Phillips. The weight of decision pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. She had been elected to lead Earth's government, but the Empire's puppet masters had always pulled the strings. Today, those strings would be cut. The United Earth Assembly was in emergency session. Representatives from every nation arguing about humanity's response to the Empire's ultimatum. Some wanted to comply, to avoid the destruction that would surely follow resistance. Others demanded that Earth fight back, regardless of the cost. Walsh knew that the choice was ultimately hers to make. She thought about her children, safe in their schools but living in a world where alien overseers decided their future. She thought about the millions of humans who had never known true freedom, who accepted Empire rule as the natural order of things. Most of all, she thought about the choice between comfortable slavery and dangerous liberty. The assembly hall fell silent as President Walsh took the podium. Her voice carried across the chamber and out to the world beyond. Every human on Earth listened as she spoke words that would change everything. Earth would no longer be the Empire's colony. Humanity would stand as free beings, and their home would be sovereign territory, the declaration echoed through space, carried by communication arrays to every corner of the galaxy. The Galactic Empire had ruled for thousands of years, crushing rebellion after rebellion with overwhelming force. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity before. Jake Morrison felt the change immediately. The bridge crew stood straighter, their movements filled with new purpose. The long years of preparation were over. The secret weapons were ready. The hidden fleets were moving into position. Earth's children were about to announce their presence to the galaxy in a way that would never be forgotten. The war for human freedom was about to begin. The massive shape of the Eternal Dominion dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a dark mountain appearing from nowhere. High Admiral Zexthara stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet through the viewing screens. He had crushed 17 rebellions in his long career, and this would be just another routine operation. The Empire's Fourth Fleet spread out behind the flagship in perfect formation. 200 vessels of various sizes moved through space with deadly precision. Planet-killer dreadnoughts flanked by heavy cruisers and destroyer escorts, all bristling with weapons that could turn worlds into ash. Zexthara had never lost a battle, and he did not intend to start now. Jake Morrison received the deployment orders at his command station. The moment he had been preparing for had finally arrived. The ESS Liberty, under Captain Amy Rodriguez, led Earth's newly constructed fleet away from their hidden bases. 12 human vessels moved out to meet an enemy force, 20 times their size. The human ships looked small and fragile compared to the Empire's massive warships. But appearances could be deceiving. Each vessel had been built using the most advanced technology Earth could produce, combining alien designs with human ingenuity. The crews had trained for years in secret, learning to fight an enemy that considered them primitive savages. Commander Pete Harrison activated the first phase of Earth's hidden defense systems from his position on the lunar surface. The moon had been hollowed out over decades, filled with weapons disguised as mining equipment and research stations. Massive railgun batteries emerged from crater walls, their barrels pointed toward the approaching enemy fleet. Dr. Michelle Brooks sat in the quantum shield control room deep beneath the Earth's surface. Her fingers moved across the control panels, initializing the invisible barriers that would channel the coming battle. The quantum field generators had been placed throughout the solar system, creating a network of defensive positions that the Empire could not see or understand. The first shots were fired when Empire scout ships attempted to scan Earth's defenses. The aliens expected to find primitive missiles and chemical rockets. Instead, they encountered something they had never seen before. Human vessels appeared on their sensors for a brief moment, fired with incredible accuracy, then vanished. Completely. The stealth technology had been developed from captured Empire cloaking devices, but human engineers had improved it beyond recognition. The alien ships could not track targets that existed in a state of quantum uncertainty. The Empire's advanced sensors were useless against weapons that existed and did not exist at the same time. Zexthara watched his scout ships explode in brilliant flashes of light. The humans were using some kind of hit-and-run tactics, striking like ghosts before disappearing into the void. The Admiral had studied human combat doctrine extensively, and this was not how the primitives were supposed to fight. Captain Rodriguez coordinated the human fleet from the Liberty's bridge. Her tactical team had analyzed Empire combat formations for years, identifying weaknesses that the aliens themselves did not know existed. The enemy ships were designed for fighting conventional enemies, not opponents who could appear and disappear at will. The Empire forces pushed deeper into the solar system, following standard invasion protocols. They expected the humans to form defensive lines around their homeworld, making it easy to destroy them with concentrated firepower. Instead, the human ships struck from all directions, targeting critical systems before vanishing back into space. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Foster led his fighter squadrons in a dance of death around the larger enemy vessels. The small human craft moved like schools of fish, their pilots' reflexes enhanced by neural interfaces that the Empire considered primitive technology. Each fighter was a weapon guided by human intuition and alien science. The Empire's formation began to show cracks as more ships fell to the ghostly human attacks. Zexthara ordered his heavy cruisers to close formation and advance directly toward Earth. The Admiral was growing frustrated by the humans' refusal to fight according to established patterns. Commander Harrison's railgun batteries fired their first full salvo from the lunar surface. The projectiles traveled at near-light speed, invisible to Empire sensors until they struck their targets. The alien shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered no protection against kinetic projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. Dr. Brooks activated the second phase of Earth's defense network. Quantum mines that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously began to appear throughout the Empire's formation. The aliens found themselves navigating a minefield that seemed to materialize from thin air, crippling several major vessels in brilliant explosions. The battle was no longer following any pattern that Zexthara understood. The humans were fighting like demons, using tactics and weapons that defied everything the Empire knew about warfare. The Admiral began to realize that this would not be the easy conquest he had expected. As both fleets maneuvered for position, the civilian population of Earth watched from their underground shelters. Mayor Steve Johnson coordinated evacuation procedures in New York City while millions of humans took cover beneath the surface. Their fate was being decided in the darkness above, where their defenders fought against impossible odds. The Empire's advance continued, but the cost was growing higher with each passing hour. The humans refused to break, refused to surrender, refused to die quietly like so many other species before them. Something was different about these primitives, something that made them dangerous in ways the Empire had never encountered. The battle erupted in full fury as Empire forces pushed toward Earth's inner system. High Admiral Zexthara deployed his heavy cruisers in the traditional wedge formation that had conquered 1,000 worlds. The massive alien vessels moved forward like a wall of death, their weapons charging for the devastating barrage that would end human resistance forever. Captain Amy Rodriguez watched the enemy formation from the bridge of the ESS Liberty. Her tactical team had studied Empire combat doctrine for years, memorizing every pattern and weakness. The aliens fought like they had fought for centuries, using overwhelming firepower and rigid formations. That predictability would be their downfall. The human ships scattered like leaves in a storm, refusing to meet the Empire's charge head-on. Instead, they used quantum displacement drives to appear behind enemy lines, strike critical systems, and vanish before the slow-moving alien vessels could respond. The technology was experimental and dangerous, but it gave humanity the only advantage they had. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Foster coordinated fighter squadrons that moved through space like living things. The pilots' reflexes were enhanced by neural interfaces that connected their minds directly to their ships. The Empire considered such technology primitive and crude, but human creativity had turned it into something deadly. Each fighter pilot was a weapon guided by instinct and training. They dove through formations of enemy ships, targeting weapon systems and engine modules with surgical precision. The alien point defense systems could not track targets that moved with such unpredictable patterns. Dr. Michelle Brooks activated the second phase of Earth's quantum defense network from her underground command center. The mines existed in a state of superposition, invisible to Empire sensors until they chose to become real. The alien fleet found itself navigating a minefield that appeared from nowhere, crippling several major vessels. The quantum mines were Brooks' masterpiece, weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They could pass through solid matter until the moment of detonation, when they would choose a single reality and explode with devastating force. The Empire's shields offered no protection against weapons that attacked from parallel dimensions. Commander Pete Harrison's railgun batteries on the lunar surface proved devastatingly effective against the Empire's technology. The weapons fired projectiles at speeds that approached the speed of light, punching through alien shields designed to stop energy weapons. Each shot was like a hammer blow from the gods themselves. The railguns had been Harrison's project for over a decade, hidden in mining operations and research facilities. The Empire knew humans used kinetic weapons, but they had never encountered anything with such incredible velocity. The projectiles carried enough energy to crack planets, focused into beams smaller than a human fist. Zexthara watched his formation begin to crumble under the human assault. Ships that had conquered star systems were being destroyed by primitives, who should have been helpless against Empire technology. The Admiral's tactical displays showed losses mounting at an impossible rate. The Empire's communication systems began to fail as human cyber warfare specialists infiltrated their networks. The aliens' interconnected fleet, which they considered their greatest strength, became their vulnerability as virus programs spread through their computer systems like digital plague. Captain Rodriguez pushed her fleet to the breaking point. Using weapons that existed at the edge of possibility, human ships fired quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple timelines, ensuring that every shot would hit its target regardless of evasive maneuvers. The Empire's defensive systems had no answer for weapons that attacked from the past and future simultaneously. The battle reached a crescendo as both fleets clashed in the space between Earth and Mars. Explosions lit up the void like dying stars, and the wreckage of destroyed vessels drifted through space like metallic snow. The Empire was learning that humanity would not go quietly into the night. Colonel Maria Santos prepared her Special Forces team for the most dangerous mission of the war. They would infiltrate the Empire's command ship using captured alien technology, moving through the massive vessel like shadows. Their target was High Admiral Zexthara himself, the alien commander who had brought death to Earth's doorstep. The infiltration team had trained for years in captured Empire vessels, learning every detail of alien ship design and security systems. They knew the enemy's weaknesses better than the aliens knew them themselves. Santos had handpicked each member of her team, choosing soldiers who could adapt to any situation. The human boarding craft approached the Eternal Dominion using stolen identification codes and quantum camouflage. The massive enemy flagship was so large that it had its own gravity field, and Santos felt the artificial weight settle on her shoulders as they docked with an auxiliary airlock. The Empire's formations, designed for fighting conventional enemies, continued to crumble under humanity's unconventional assault. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking with precision before vanishing into the quantum foam. The aliens had never faced an enemy that refused to follow the established rules of warfare. As the battle intensified, High Admiral Zexthara made a decision that would change everything. Frustrated by the humans' tactics and enraged by his mounting losses, he ordered his remaining ships to abandon their defensive formations and charge directly toward Earth. The Admiral was walking straight into the trap that General Phillips had been preparing for months. Colonel Maria Santos moved through the corridors of the Eternal Dominion like a ghost made of shadows and steel. Her Special Forces team had infiltrated the Empire's flagship using captured alien technology. But now they faced the real challenge of navigating a vessel designed by minds that thought in patterns humans could barely understand. The alien ship was massive beyond comprehension, its corridors stretching for kilometers through decks that rose like metallic mountains. Santos had studied the blueprints for months, memorizing every passage and junction, but being inside the enemy vessel was different from looking at technical drawings. The walls pulsed with alien energy, and the air tasted of ozone and fear. Captain Jake Morrison coordinated the desperate defense of Earth's orbital stations from his command post on the Vigilance. Empire boarding pods had breached the outer hull, disgorging alien soldiers who moved through the station's corridors like living nightmares. The enemy warriors were twice the size of humans, with 4 arms and skin that could deflect small arms fire. The human defenders had prepared for this moment. turning the station's maintenance tunnels into a guerrilla warfare maze. Sergeant Tony Baker led a group of Marines who knew every pipe and conduit in the orbital facility. They struck at the alien invaders from unexpected angles. Using the station's own systems as weapons, Baker's team had rigged explosive charges throughout the station, connected to a network of sensors that could track enemy movement. When alien soldiers entered a corridor, the humans would collapse the ceiling behind them, trapping the invaders in a metal tomb. The Empire's warriors were strong and well-armed, but they had never fought an enemy that could turn their environment against them. Dr. Michelle Brooks unveiled her greatest creation from the quantum control center buried beneath Earth's surface. The virus she had designed was not made of biological material, but of pure information, a digital plague that could spread through the Empire's communication networks faster than thought itself. The quantum virus was Brooks' masterpiece, a program that existed in multiple realities simultaneously. It could pass through the Empire's security systems by choosing the reality where those systems did not exist. Once inside the alien networks, it would replicate and spread. Turning the Empire's own technology against them, the virus began its work immediately, infiltrating the Empire's interconnected fleet through their communication arrays. The aliens' ships, which had been coordinating their attacks with perfect efficiency, suddenly found themselves blind and deaf. Weapon systems fired at random targets, and navigation computers directed ships toward collision courses. Captain Amy Rodriguez pushed her fleet beyond all reasonable limits, using experimental weapons that existed at the very edge of human understanding. The quantum torpedoes fired from her ships existed in multiple timelines, ensuring that every shot would hit its target regardless of the enemy's evasive maneuvers. The human vessels moved through space, like dancers performing a deadly ballet, their movements coordinated by artificial intelligence systems that could predict enemy behavior patterns. Each ship was a weapon guided by human intuition and alien science, striking with precision that bordered on the supernatural. High Admiral Zextara watched his carefully planned invasion crumble around him. The humans were fighting with a ferocity that defied everything the Empire knew about warfare. His ships were being destroyed by primitives who should have been helpless against Empire technology, and his communication systems were failing as the digital plague spread through his fleet. The Admiral had conquered 17 worlds in his long career, but he had never faced an enemy like humanity. The other species had fought with honor and dignity, accepting defeat when it became inevitable. But these humans refused to follow the established patterns of warfare, using tactics that seemed to come from madness itself. Santos and her team reached the command section of the Eternal Dominion, moving through corridors that were designed for beings 3 times their size. The alien architecture was beautiful in its own way, but it also revealed the Empire's fundamental weakness. They had grown comfortable with their superiority, never imagining that smaller beings could turn their own strength against them. The infiltration team had trained for years in captured Empire vessels, learning to use alien technology better than the aliens themselves. They moved through the ship's security systems like water flowing around rocks, exploiting weaknesses that the Empire had never bothered to fix. Commander Pete Harrison coordinated the lunar batteries with orbital defense platforms, creating a crossfire that no Empire ship could survive. The railguns fired continuously, their projectiles traveling at speeds that turned them into weapons of mass destruction. Each shot carried enough energy to crack continents, focused into beams smaller than a human hand. The battle had become a nightmare for the Empire forces, but for humanity it was the moment they had been preparing for their entire lives. Every human fighter, every defender, every scientist and engineer had worked toward this single goal, proving that Earth's children would not bow to alien masters. As the quantum virus spread through the Empire's systems and Santos closed in on her target, the tide of battle began to turn in humanity's favor. The Empire's advance into Earth's inner system triggered the activation of humanity's ultimate weapon. Hidden throughout the asteroid belt and disguised as mining operations for decades, hundreds of quantum cannons powered up simultaneously. The space around the alien fleet suddenly erupted in brilliant flashes of directed energy that tore through their formations like lightning through paper. General Ryan Phillips watched from his command center as the Sol defense grid came online. Every asteroid, every piece of space debris, every abandoned mining platform had been converted into a weapon over the past 15 years. The Empire's forces found themselves caught in a crossfire from every direction, trapped in a system where even the rocks themselves were humanity's allies. High Admiral Zexthara realized too late that he had led his fleet into a carefully prepared trap. The human defenders had not been running from his superior forces, but drawing them deeper into a web of hidden weapons. The Admiral's tactical displays showed enemy fire coming from positions that should have been empty space. Commander Pete Harrison coordinated the lunar batteries with the orbital defense platforms, creating a wall of fire that no Empire ship could penetrate. The railguns had been firing continuously for hours, their barrels glowing white-hot from the constant bombardment. Each projectile carried enough destructive power to level a city, but the humans fired them as casually as throwing stones. The quantum cannons hidden in the asteroid belt fired in synchronized volleys, their beams converging on individual Empire vessels with mathematical precision. The aliens' massive dreadnoughts, which had seemed invincible just hours before, began to crack and split under the relentless assault. Explosions bloomed across their hulls like deadly flowers. Colonel Maria Santos reached the command bridge of the Eternal Dominion, moving through corridors filled with alien technology that hummed with malevolent energy. Her team had fought through the ship's security systems and automated defenses, leaving a trail of disabled alien soldiers in their wake. The Empire's flagship was within their grasp. The bridge of the alien vessel was a cathedral of war, its curved walls lined with displays that showed the battle raging throughout the solar system. High Admiral Zexthara stood at the center of it all, his four arms working frantically at control panels as he tried to salvage his crumbling fleet. The alien commander was tall and imposing, but Santos could see the fear in his multifaceted eyes. Santos and her team burst onto the bridge with weapons blazing, catching the alien crew completely off guard. The Empire's soldiers were trained for conventional warfare, not for close-quarters combat against humans who moved like deadly shadows. The Special Forces team had trained for this moment for years, and they executed their assault with perfect precision. The alien commander fought with the desperation of a being who had never faced defeat. Zexthara's four arms moved like whips, firing energy weapons that could punch through tank armor. But the humans were too fast, too unpredictable, too utterly alien in their tactics. Santos dove beneath the Admiral's guard and struck with surgical precision. Captain Amy Rodriguez led the final assault on the remaining Empire vessels from the bridge of the ESS Liberty. The human fleet had been bloodied by the long battle, but they had not been broken. Her ships moved through space like predators closing in for the kill, their weapon systems coordinated with the ground-based defenses to create a devastating combined assault. The Empire's formation had completely collapsed under the human onslaught. Ships that had fought together for decades were now scattered across the solar system, their crews demoralized and leaderless. The aliens had never encountered an enemy that could turn their own strength against them with such devastating effect. Dr. Michelle Brooks activated the quantum interdiction field from her control center beneath Earth's surface. The technology prevented hyperspace jumps within the solar system, trapping the surviving Empire vessels like animals in a cage. The aliens who had come to conquer Earth now found themselves prisoners in humanity's domain. High Admiral Zexthara made a decision that would haunt the galaxy for generations. Rather than face the disgrace of capture and defeat, the alien commander activated his flagship's self-destruct sequence. The massive vessel's power core began to overload, building toward an explosion that would take half the Empire fleet with it. Santos realized what was happening as warning lights began flashing throughout the bridge. The alien commander had chosen death over surrender, and he intended to take as many humans with him as possible. The colonel had mere minutes to get her team off the doomed vessel before it exploded with the force of a small star. The infiltration team fought their way through corridors filled with emergency lighting and alien evacuation procedures. Behind them, the Eternal Dominion's power core climbed toward critical overload. The ship that had brought death to Earth's doorstep was about to become a tomb for its own crew. As the flagship began its final descent toward destruction, the remaining Empire vessels found themselves leaderless and trapped. The quantum interdiction field held them in place while human weapons continued their relentless bombardment. The aliens who had come to enslave Earth were learning the true meaning of human determination. The explosion of the Eternal Dominion lit up the solar system like a newborn star. Colonel Maria Santos and her team escaped the doomed flagship moments before it detonated, their rescue shuttle racing away from the expanding fireball that consumed half the Empire fleet. The alien commander's final act of defiance had destroyed his own forces more effectively than any human weapon. Captain Jake Morrison surveyed the debris field from the bridge of the Vigilance, watching as pieces of the Empire's mighty warships drifted through space like metallic snow. The battle was over, but the cost had been enormous. Many human ships floated among the wreckage, their crews having paid the ultimate price for Earth's freedom. The surviving Empire vessels hung motionless in space, trapped by the quantum interdiction field that prevented their escape. Their crews had surrendered after witnessing the destruction of their flagship and the death of their commander. The aliens who had come to conquer Earth now found themselves prisoners of the species they had considered primitive. President Karen Walsh stood before the United Earth Assembly, but this time her words were broadcast to the entire galaxy. The communication arrays that had once carried Empire propaganda now transmitted humanity's Declaration of Independence to every corner of known space. Her voice carried across the stars, with a message that would change the balance of power forever. The president's words were simple but profound. Earth was no longer a colony of the Galactic Empire. Humanity would stand as free beings, and their home would be sovereign territory. Any future aggression would be met with the same fate that had befallen the Fourth Fleet. The galaxy had been warned. Dr. Michelle Brooks led the scientific teams that analyzed the captured Empire technology, but her focus had shifted to something far more important. The political structure of the galaxy was built on fear and oppression, with countless species living under alien rule. Earth's victory had shown that the Empire could be defeated, and rebellions were already beginning across multiple star systems. The quantum communication networks that had once carried Empire orders now buzzed with messages of hope and defiance. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were rising up against their oppressors, inspired by humanity's example. The galaxy was learning that freedom was not a gift to be granted, but a right to be taken. General Ryan Phillips began the next phase of humanity's plan, using captured Empire technology to enhance Earth's defenses and prepare for expansion beyond the solar system. The secret facilities that had built the defense network were already working on new projects. Humanity would not be content to simply defend their home system. The captured Empire vessels were being studied and reverse-engineered by teams of human scientists and engineers. Every piece of alien technology was dissected and improved upon, just as they had done for the past 15 years. The Empire's arrogance had given humanity the tools they needed to challenge their former masters. Captain Amy Rodriguez prepared for humanity's first independent deep space mission aboard the ESS Liberty. The ship had been upgraded with the best of both human and alien technology, creating a vessel that was more advanced than anything the Empire had ever built. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth's children were no longer confined to their home system, Commander Pete Harrison planted the first human flag on a captured Empire vessel, a symbolic act that represented humanity's emergence as a galactic power. The lunar batteries that had helped win the battle were already being upgraded and expanded. Earth would be ready for whatever came next. The aftermath of the battle found Earth forever changed. The underground shelters that had protected the civilian population during the fighting were opening, and people emerged to find their world free for the first time in 70 years. Children who had never known life without alien overseers looked up at skies that belonged to humanity once. Again, Mayor Steve Johnson coordinated the rebuilding efforts in New York City, where monuments to the fallen were already being planned. The humans who had died in the battle would be remembered as heroes who had given everything for freedom. Their sacrifice had bought humanity a future among the stars. The galaxy watched in amazement as reports of Earth's victory spread through the communication networks. The Empire's Fourth Fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, had been destroyed by a species that most aliens considered barely intelligent. The balance of power that had existed for thousands of years was crumbling as the final scene unfolded. Earth appeared in the viewports of human ships as they departed for distant stars. The blue marble that had been humanity's prison was now their launching point for expansion across the galaxy. The message was clear to every species that watched. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage. The Empire's reign of terror was ending, not through negotiation or diplomacy, but through the simple demonstration that they could be defeated. Earth's children had proven that courage and determination could overcome any technological advantage. The galaxy would never be the same again. Freedom had come to humanity at last, and they intended to share it with every species that yearned to be free.